Chapter 8, Adjustment Tools, Part 1. Isn't that funny how I have used my logical abilities, my operational abilities, and the experiences of my organic instincts to develop a theory, a methodology, and an algorithm to handle the emotional conditions in order to develop our EQ? Let's dive into what the operational world and the emotional world may offer here, more concretely and totally emotionally. The methodical tools I have made in Ancient Academy are diagnostic, adjustment, and support programs based on our intelligent algorithm. The algorithm combines and calculates an emotional and operational condition of a system. EAI, which is Emotional Algorithm Intelligence, and DAI, Digital Algorithm Intelligence, which together create a balanced emotional and operational capacity in any system. A system in balance creates possibilities of growth, change, innovatory and integration, which may show us the possibilities to create a more balanced condition in any organic or non-organic system. It also offers us the possibility to create a more harmonious personal and professional life. Why? Because we as human beings need a system update in step with our technological development. The digital age has a speed without any understanding and offers many possibilities, but it also deactivates some of our abilities. Maybe we do not need these abilities anymore. Maybe it's time to activate new abilities and to develop some that are more suitable in step with our personal evolution, a new transformer. Anyway, are we progressing on our way with new development being more suitable to the age we are living in? New thought forms to be able to navigate and to create a more harmonious personal and professional life. We as leaders must lead into a new era, an era of diversities, and an era where the employees become more independent and thus demanding. An era where the digital age replaces employees. We as entrepreneurs or inventors or innovators must be able to keep up and to predict a world of AI and remember the quite basic human needs to be capable of inventing new and better products or services so that we can live up to the operational development and the emotional development today and in future. We as parents are gradually becoming almost non-existent as a source of information to our children, as children and young people can find all necessary information within 3 seconds on their telephone. We as a couple, spouses or relatives, to us are constantly working overtime, as we are getting divorced like never before, and women are coming even more into play with their independence, freedom and equality. So, in step with everybody evolving towards a more independent and free consciousness as humans, this collective, huge change requires collective efforts. A new way in which we can follow the development, where we have got us within, where we integrate the required resources and sort those out we do not need anymore. To be able to handle and integrate the changes this entails, we really need our emotional intelligence, being the energy source of our inputs and outputs. Combined intelligence, combined consciousness are needed for us to keep the balance, to integrate ourselves with the new, and remember that we are here to be happy while we live. We must remember that all energy and living things have a purpose. Ours is to be happy, with a responsibility for not harming others or another existence. So, our development and evolution are our tools to find peace, the balance to be able to be happy. When this new medicine heals you, You will become happy about being healthy from a deadly illness. When the digital world helps us with all our social needs during a pandemic, where we can eat, enjoy, hold meetings via a screen, then we become happy. We've had the opportunity to see our girlfriend or boyfriend or to keep our job. Otherwise, we would have lost our operational purpose, our daily job. Here again, we speak about all of the operational mechanical products which fulfill an emotional condition for us. So, our emotional need for surviving was the energy for the medicine invented. And, for example, our emotional need for streamlining of communication was the energy for development of the computer and all the programs which made it possible for us to survive with good social conditions during the pandemic. Our purpose is not to worship a god, a prophet, or each other to become better, bigger, more clever, or wiser. This would also be very ego-influenced by that god if we were supposed to submit to it or to a prophet who lived more than 1,000 years ago. Without a doubt, they have had a message, a thought form that suited the age in which they lived, before AI and the digital age existed. Those days we were not as conscious and developed as we are today. Isn't it about time that we change the thought form which old cultures, religions, old societal and political systems with the DNA from these create? I don't know, but I think everything in its time. As long as an old thought form does not influence my conditions and my collective consciousness of being able to achieve a balanced and quality-based life, my identity which defines me, my freedom as a human being for a sustained, happy life, then they may exist equally. Fortunately, we have many forms of gods and religions, so nobody needs to feel repulsed. We must remember that we are free human beings, and in this book we philosophize about and put all possibilities and solutions into perspective. You may believe and live as you wish, and this is a freedom which no one should take away from you. It is about how your way of life makes you happy, whether it contributes to your not judging other people or harm nature, whether it contributes to the fact that everyone, women, children, employees, etc., should be able to live as freely as you do. It is not about whether you believe, but about the cause and effect of your faith. Independence and freedom come with a responsibility, which we can take by means of the energy formula. A cause has an effect, which has a consequence. This changes circumstances, which become experiences. They lead to changes, which bring about renewed energy. This brings us wisdom, which becomes a cause on its own again. Love. Unconditional love, vulnerable love, and self-love. Uncompromising love, family love, passionate love, sexual love, boundary-based love, limitless love, and the social love. In short, the loop of time, reset at the point of zero, or love. Love is many things and is tied to and emanates from many different things. We have love for our children, our partner, our parents as a child again, and again love to our parents as adults, changing as we develop our childhood's ego into a grown-up, positive and negative ego. We can have love for our friends and our companies, products or jobs. We can have love for food or cars. We can love our products which we create. We can have love for healthy or unhealthy elements in life. The word love is used and defined as many things in many ways and from many perspectives. We can be healed and become well in love. We can also become ill or lose ourselves without love. Love can be described endlessly and comprehends everything. Love can create security, just as it can create uncertainty. Love can make you choose yourself off. Love can make someone take life or give life. Love can do many things, can change everything, and make us do everything. Love is indefinable and definable. Love changes everything, and we can use this assertion here. So here we state that love as vulnerability, where all conditions in present tense cease, is the love that changes everything, transforms and creates balance, an unconditional condition which creates a neutral condition. Thus, the loop of time, the present tense, is love, a tool for change and motivation. The vulnerable and unconditional love is found only in the core, when two opposite poles meet, either opposite poles in you or in you and someone else. This means that all of our 4 emotional conditions within our EQ principles have a purpose, cause and effect that helps us towards love in present tense, in balance, and in all aspects of us as humans, irrespective of gender. This also means that in order to agree when we disagree, we integrate ourselves with what we disagree about. This requires a reset which takes place in the loop of time. The present tense, which, funnily enough, does not have a duality as the only universal concept. The basic value is here that all of our 4 emotional conditions are needed and are equal, regardless of whether the talk is about anger or peace. They are each other's opposite poles, which is their necessity of life to be able to survive, plus and minus for sustained interaction and survival. The 2 emotional conditions work towards a union in the 0 point, as they constantly change their condition, because it is not appropriate for us to be in too much peace or too much anger for a longer period of time. It is also in the 0 point the time ceases, as the 2 conditions cease in their meeting and union, are shifted and converted to another condition, from plus to minus, from anger to peace. Time is the frame of our emotions, in step with nature's survival, and the approach of our survival to keep us moving in step and balance. Time helps to keep us moving with the direction of nature, which also goes one way only. Time helps us with changes, as otherwise we would never get rid of a traumatic experience in the past tense. The 4 emotional conditions, together with time, change and combine our emotional and operational condition, which teaches us to change. We also define time as our ego. Time ceases in the loop of time, in the present tense. All of the various conditions are reset in its ability, which is unconditional, as everything needs to cease for a change, unconditional love, vulnerability. Note here that breathing is the pulse of the energy. In the loop of time, the breathing, energy, consciousness meet, are reborn and die within the same period of time. If we are unable to breathe, we will die. Is our breathing what we people also call love? If it ceases, then we shall cease in the present tense. Breathing is our vulnerability. This is where, for the first time, we draw the physical energetic air into our body after our existence has arisen from our genetic heritage in our mother's stomach. Well, then, the purpose of our physical birth is to be happy, as we are born with breathing, with love, vulnerability, in the concept of time, and thus the concept changes, with our ego as our survival instinct and our dynamic emotions as our compass of our intuitive senses, being the energy for our mechanical machinery of change. Our dynamic intuition and organic instinct are an automated function that we were born with, just as our autonomous nervous system. They work together in an interaction, unconsciously, in step with the development of the child. This interaction is a kind of steering mechanism that I call emotional and operational management. Therefore, life is fragile and must be appreciated. We are born in love and survive in love, at least here and in this case in the loop of time in the present tense, as we change, grow older, and are in constant change in the circle of life. We are our own emotional and operational intelligence. In the notes accompanying this audiobook, there is a diagram that depicts this interrelationship between different causes, effects, and consequences. It shows how vulnerability as a cause has the effect of motivation and changes, which brings about new circumstances, and the consequence is renewed energy. It shows how when anger is a cause, the effect is resistance, and the consequence is rejection. The diagram shows how, if being unhappy is a cause, the effect is failure, and the consequence is phasing out. Where peace is a cause, the effect is success, and the consequence is balance. Supplementary and complementary methodical counseling and advising. EAI and DAI, intelligent algorithms. Updated ancient knowledge which creates combined intelligence that is part of the solution for change towards creating a paradigm shift, a change in the human understanding. The intelligent algorithm is part of the solution for sustained shifting changes, further development of our simple way of understanding our intelligence in a tangible way, and handling and integrating combined intelligence, combined consciousness, future science, sustainability to activate and develop our capabilities for innovation ability, integration ability, capacity ability, wholeness ability, coincidence ability, and divergent ability. Every unit or system consists of many units and parts. Its existence depends on the condition and the collaboration between the various units. We define the algorithm based on the meta-duality theory in 4 constant, 1 neutral, and 4 combined conditions. They are partly emotional and operational, and yet a neutral condition, which originates from the present tense, 0 point, the loop of time. Imagine a magnet where plus and minus meet in the middle, where opposites meet in an integration, and they condition as plus and minus ceases. The 4 different conditions first meet each other and form their linear axis consisting of 2 conditions and moving only back and forth, depending on which condition has a greater value. When dualities meet dualities, a circular energy is created around their 2 axes, and they meeting in the middle, when minus meets plus. In the loop of time, all axes meet, and all conditions cease, are changed, transformed, and integrated with each other there. This creates a movement between the opposite poles and the fellow poles. A new thought form is created, as well as an interaction between the various conditions in their meeting with each other, as their conditions are changed. Whether it is the axis of winter to summer that meets in the condition of autumn to spring, or those of the emotions, makes no difference. Meta-duality theory works in the same way on all constant and variable conditions. The result of the change taking place in the zero point, or this loop of time, is the energy which has its own axis, which constantly works as a mediator between the various conditions in the time where the consciousness of space exists. This axis we call vulnerability, change and motivation, and like anything else in the universe of the duality, then there is also cause, effect, consequence, circumstances, experiences, changes, renewed energy, wisdom, resulting in further causes. This formula applies to all conditions. It is a formula of energy that creates the various conditions which a unit creates or is in, because others also create their own condition, which they are to be interacting in. In the neutral condition, when the matter is about an action like change, then it requires motivation, and when it is about the condition of the emotions, then vulnerability is where everything ceases, where we let go of everything and dare to be as we are, where we are in the time we are actually in. This is vulnerability, and we can change the wanted changes or integrate ourselves with the external changes. This is also where integrations arise successfully with balance. This is where we make use of our positive ego in a development condition and our negative ego in a phase-out condition. Both are needed to be able to change a condition as we phase out a condition, reset it, and change it into something else. This is where we need to make use of our positive ego and self-love to be able to change what we wish to change, no matter if it is a phase-out or development or simply both at once. Some of us are capable of doing more than others, as we have developed several of our abilities to navigate and keep balance, because we have bigger capacity than others. This means that we can contain more, handle more, have a greater overview and decisiveness, and are capable of taking responsibility for ourselves with self-love, which not everyone is able to, with the purpose of increasing our capacity ability, efficiency ability, and integration ability. A condition could be a combined condition, constant condition, a shifting or variable condition, or a neutral condition. When we talk about cause and effect, happy leads to passion and growth. Unhappy leads to failure and phasing out. Peace leads to success and balance. Anger leads to resistance and rejection. Vulnerability leads to motivation and change. When we talk about emotional intellect or humanitarian intuition, we are talking about the inborn or childhood's emotions, developed emotions and combined emotions, which could be both positive or negative. And when we talk about operational intellect, we are talking about the ego's instincts. This is the inborn or childhood's ego, a developed ego, which could be, again, positive or negative. This interplay is again depicted in a diagram that accompanies this audiobook that lists the 4 basic emotional conditions: happiness, anger, unhappiness, and peace, and 1 basic operational and neutral condition, vulnerability, as a motivation for and to change. Combined conditions. When we look at cause and effect, happy looks at passion and growth, and in its duality, failure is a phase out. Unhappy results in failure and phase out. In its duality, passion and growth. Peace leads to success and balance. In its duality, resistance leads to rejection. Anger results in resistance and rejection. In its duality, success leads to balance. Vulnerability is motivation for change, and this is a neutral focal point. It originates from the loop of time from 0 point where everything ceases. Everything is energy. We are energy, and our emotions are our energies in constant motion, in step with the direction of time. As long as we live, every time a change from one emotional condition to another condition appears, they meet in the axis of the loop of time. Here, an integration between two conditions is made. Let's assume that we have been angry and need peace, or a company has been in change processes which has created anger in many people and they need peace. It's the same principle, no matter if it is individually, collectively in a company, or in a family. Methodical principles in the algorithm would be like this. All of the 4 emotions are in constant condition, always alone and always in motion. All of the 4 emotions have the ability to change themselves, to integrate with each other, which requires that they are individually capable of balancing, rejecting, growing, and phasing out. Our ego transforms, includes, is the framework of all our emotions, just as the circle of the unit circle embraces all mechanical functions shown here. The ego is tied to time, as we are born in the concept of time, live in step with time, develop and phase out in step with time, and live in a time limit concept. Minus and plus attract each other. A line is formed to the opposite pole and they meet in the middle. 0, loop of time, where everything ceases, also time. Since all living things are always in motion, a meeting between two conditions can cease only momentarily. In the interaction between minus and plus in the system, a new condition is created through the receiver or the pattern breaker, a combined condition. It moves in the change axis, which brings it to the outer edge or the associated place in the graph in order to send an energetic signal to the consciousness for a reaction. Example, here the energy moves from anger to phasing out, is once more changed into motivation and change. And again, when it reaches the constant condition, phase out. In phase out, depending on the value of the condition, the energy moves on to the motivation, changes line again in step with time for a change and integration to the next condition. This axis brings the energetic information from the loop of time, which is depending on the values of all of our emotional conditions in an integration. We assume 0 to 10, and if our phase-out condition is 9, then it is going to navigate from this value and has an effect accordingly. All different kinds of change forms, combinations of conditions, and anything else we have read about so far, and are used in the process shown in the pictures and colors in the diagrams in the notes that accompany this audiobook. A combined condition offers us the possibilities to consciously change anger into peace, as both energetic opposite poles are existing and integrated in change processes until the combined condition has been changed into a constant condition. The ability which our emotional intelligence has for being able to make sustained combination of all conditions creates our survival, both emotionally and operationally. Emotional and operational management originates from our different capacities, called emotional and operational capacity, based on our different abilities, EQ and IQ, the process from one condition to another. Therefore, our right side of the brain controls the opposite side and vice versa. To help you be able to make a conscious change of your emotional condition, we have worked out a basic EQ test and easy tools which you can use in your everyday life. You must always remember that when everything in the emotions gets out of balance, then you must focus on finding the opposite pole and some of the abilities and concepts it contains to be able to change your condition. If you are angry, then you must focus on peace and all of the concepts underneath it. For this exercise, I've made you a list later in the notes that accompany this audiobook. Neutral change point or axis relates to variable change, constant or shifting change, combined change, and motivating change. These concepts are depicted in the diagrams that accompany this audiobook. Time, motivation, change, vulnerability. To find out who we are, our potentials and our inner selves must find the way from A to B, namely who we are and who we can become, in step with the passage of time and space in a linear and circular thought form. We are bound to time, and only in the loop of time, where the condition of the opposite poles ceases, we shall be able to see clearly. On our way from A to B, no one can see clearly or predict everything, as we all have our own truths and coincidences in our lives, and we are our own challenge and worst enemy, just as we are our own development and success. It all depends on us, how we overcome ourselves, our challenges, and how we get free of ourselves so that we can walk the straight way to be, being who we shall be. The way is the learning how to find ourselves. Our profession is our tool for learning. Our heart is the compass, and the brain is the task solver, finds solutions. But in the end, nature finds its own way from A to B. Uncertainty is our guideline, the light and the guide into the horizon, driving us to the answers. As we do not know, seek answers and try to find the way from A to B, from who we are and to who we must be, being settled in the present tense. Time is the way that creates the concepts we need in our life. The time that has been and the time that is coming can be used only in the time which is present, in order that the way to the future is created. We are tied to the time, and therefore we can see clearly only in the loop of time, in the present tense. This is where we create the various truths, no matter if they are ours or some coming from the outside. This is where doubt and belief meet, where all dualities meet and create the way into the future we wish, but which is very often not the one we are heading to. The ego and the love also meet there, and time is tied to ego, and the ego often wins. We have tied time to the ego and not to the universe. And so a change in the consciousness in relation to the concept time must take place in order that everything can be changed, also the coincidences and the truths. To be stuck in the loop of time as a blockage. If the thoughts or actions of the past tense and the future tense are not each other's opposite poles, they are not likely to neutralize each other, and death and phase out are not going to occur. This means that the consciousness is stuck in the thought pattern of the past tense, and the development is thus stopped, is being reborn by the breathing, or the new cause of a new future tense is deficient, the power of time, ego. Past tense has the power and a pattern used for the new future tense in the present tense. Therefore, we can see clearly or not see and feel at all, and thereby lose our navigation system, our feelings. When we see clearly, then it is because our past tense creates a future tense in the present tense, where both phase out and development walk hand in hand, and something unnecessary dies. And breathing is reborn in a new possible future. This is called our potentials, which are reborn and are expressed, and which navigate a possible future tense. Each of us has different abilities to creating new potentials, being the cause of the effect, the actions in the present tense and the future tense. Therefore, we release different potentials through our life in step with our age, which is tied to time.